We've all been there. You board your flight feeling optimistic, maybe even a little excited about your upcoming trip. You find your seat, stow your carry-on, and settle in for what you hope will be a peaceful journey. Then it happens. Your seatmate arrives, and within the first 5 minutes, you realize you've just entered what can only be described as airborne purgatory. Maybe they're the armrest hog who treats the shared space like their personal real estate empire. Perhaps they're the chronic chatterer who mistakes your polite smile for an invitation to share their entire life story. Or worse, they could be the seat kicker, the loud snorer, or heaven forbid, the person who thinks airplane etiquette doesn't apply to them. If you've ever found yourself trapped at 30,000 feet with someone who makes you question humanity itself, this video is your survival guide. Today, we're diving deep into the unspoken world of in-flight diplomacy. I'm going to share the psychological tactics, the subtle communication strategies, and the emergency protocols that seasoned travelers use to navigate these challenging situations. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete arsenal of techniques to transform any nightmare seatmate scenario into a manageable, maybe even pleasant, flying experience. Let's start with the most universally despised airplane villain, the armrest monopolizer. This person operates under the delusion that purchasing one seat somehow grants them exclusive rights to all adjacent real estate. They spread their arms like they're claiming territory in the Wild West, completely oblivious to your existence. Here's what most people do wrong in this situation. They either suffer in silence, building resentment for the entire flight, or they engage in passive-aggressive armrest warfare, creating tension that makes everyone uncomfortable. The diplomatic approach requires what I call strategic positioning. When you first sit down, immediately claim your rightful armrest space, but do it subtly. Rest your arm naturally, establishing your presence without being aggressive. If they've already claimed both armrests, use the gentle displacement technique. Slowly and naturally move your arm to reclaim your space while engaging in light conversation. This creates a social contract where they become aware of your presence without feeling attacked. But what about the chronic oversharer? You know this person. Within minutes of takeoff, they're telling you about their divorce, their medical procedures, or their complicated relationship with their mother-in-law. While part of you might admire their openness, another part is desperately searching for an escape route that doesn't involve opening the emergency exit. The key here is controlled engagement. Give them just enough response to be polite, but not enough to encourage a full autobiography. Use what therapists call minimal encourages. Nod occasionally, say things like, "I see," or "That's interesting," but don't ask follow-up questions. Keep your body language neutral, avoid excessive eye contact, and gradually introduce activities that signal you're transitioning to personal time. Pull out a book, put on headphones, or open your laptop. Most people will take these social cues and dial back their sharing. Now let's talk about the space invader, the person who seems to believe airplane seats are designed for contortionists. They lean into your space, their belongings migrate across invisible boundaries, and somehow their knees end up in your legroom. This requires immediate but diplomatic boundary setting. Physical boundaries on airplanes are psychological as much as they are spatial. When someone encroaches on your space, you need to reclaim it without creating conflict. Use the mirror technique. Gently mirror their positioning to make them aware of the space imbalance. If they're leaning into you, slightly lean back toward them. This creates subconscious awareness of the boundary violation. Combine this with strategic object placement. Put your water bottle, book, or jacket in the space to create a natural barrier. The seat kicker presents a unique challenge because they're often completely unaware of their behavior. This unconscious habit requires a gentle awareness intervention. Turn around with a friendly smile and make brief eye contact. Sometimes a simple acknowledgement of your presence is enough to stop the behavior. If it continues, try the polite direct approach. "Excuse me, I think your leg might be bumping my seat. Would you mind checking?" Say it with a smile and assume positive intent. Most people are genuinely apologetic once they realize what they're doing. But what about the truly challenging scenarios? The person with questionable hygiene, the individual who removes their shoes and unleashes aromatic warfare, or the passenger who treats the airplane like their personal living room. These situations require advanced diplomatic strategies. For hygiene issues, you have limited options, but you do have some. Discreetly move to create more physical distance if possible. Use your own pleasant scent strategically. Apply a small amount of hand lotion or lip balm under your nose. If the situation is severe, you can speak to a flight attendant privately. They're trained to handle these delicate situations with discretion. The shoe remover requires immediate action. As soon as you see those shoes coming off, preemptively claim your space. Put your feet firmly on the floor, place your carry-on in the foot space, and create physical barriers that prevent any migration of unpleasant odors or, worse, direct contact. Sometimes you encounter the tech terrorist, the person who plays music without headphones, has loud phone conversations, or watches videos at full volume. This is where you become a subtle educator. Offer to share your headphones, saying something like, "These flights can be so noisy, would you like to borrow my extra earbuds?" Most people will get the hint and appreciate the gesture rather than feeling criticized. The chronic recliner presents an interesting diplomatic challenge. Yes, they have the right to recline their seat, but extreme reclining can make your flight miserable. Try the preemptive negotiation approach. Before takeoff, introduce yourself and casually mention if you need to work on your laptop during the flight. Many people will naturally be more considerate about reclining if they know it affects your ability to function. What about the mealtime nightmare? The person who brings strongly scented food, eats messily, or has unusual eating habits that make your journey unpleasant. Create your own pleasant environment. Bring your own snacks with appealing aromas, use your meal tray as a subtle barrier, and focus on your own dining experience rather than monitoring theirs. Now let's address the elephant in the cabin, dealing with genuinely hostile or aggressive passengers. This is where diplomacy meets safety. Never escalate a conflict at 30,000 feet. If someone becomes verbally aggressive, stay calm, avoid eye contact, and immediately alert a flight attendant. Your safety is more important than winning any argument. The drunk passenger requires special handling. Never engage in debates or arguments with an intoxicated person. They're unpredictable and often unreasonable. Create physical distance, alert the crew immediately, and document the behavior if necessary. Flight attendants are trained to handle these situations and have the authority to address them properly. Here's something most travelers don't realize. Flight attendants are your secret allies in passenger diplomacy. They want everyone to have a comfortable flight, and they're skilled at mediating disputes. If you need to involve them, approach them privately during a quiet moment. Explain the situation calmly and ask for their advice rather than demanding immediate action. They often have creative solutions you haven't considered. Prevention is always better than crisis management. When you're boarding, make positive first contact with your seatmate. A friendly greeting, a genuine smile, and maybe a small compliment about their carry-on or destination can set a cooperative tone for the entire flight. People are more likely to be considerate towards someone they've had a positive interaction with. Pack strategically for passenger diplomacy. Bring extra earbuds to offer as diplomatic gifts. Pack breath mints or gum to share. Have your own entertainment ready so you're not dependent on others for a pleasant flight experience. A small travel pillow can serve as both comfort and a subtle space barrier. Understanding cultural differences can also improve your in-flight diplomacy. What seems rude in one culture might be perfectly normal in another. Approach cultural misunderstandings with curiosity rather than judgment. Sometimes asking about someone's customs can turn a frustrating situation into an interesting cultural exchange. The ultimate goal isn't to win battles with difficult passengers, it's to create the most pleasant flight experience possible for everyone involved. Sometimes this means compromising, sometimes it means setting firm boundaries, and occasionally it means accepting that some situations are beyond your control. As you implement these strategies, remember that most passenger conflicts arise from misunderstandings rather than malicious intent. People are stressed when they travel, they're in unfamiliar environments, and they're often dealing with their own anxieties about flying. A little empathy combined with clear communication can resolve most conflicts before they escalate. Your homework after watching this video is simple. Practice these techniques on your next flight, even if your seatmate is perfectly pleasant. Building these diplomatic skills when the stakes are low will prepare you for the inevitable challenging situation. And remember, every difficult passenger encounter is an opportunity to practice patience, communication, and problem-solving skills that serve you well beyond the airplane cabin. What's your worst seatmate story? Share it in the comments below, and let me know which of these strategies you're most excited to try on your next flight.